Imagine opening your eyes for the first time, and the first enemy you meet is your own body. Not a predator, not a parasite, not hunger. Your body, the thing that was supposed to help you survive, is already making survival harder. One animal is born with two heads fighting for one body. Another has extra legs that do not save it. Another has a face that makes eating feel like a battle. Some cannot walk properly. Some cannot breathe easily. Some look alive, but their body is barely cooperating. And nature does not care. The herd does not wait. The predator does not feel sorry. The world does not say, "Take your time, you were built wrong." It just starts. That is what makes this worse than looking strange. To us, these animals become photos. To them, this is not a mutation. This is the body they have to survive in. Welcome to BioMisery. Today, we are looking at animals born wrong, nature's cruelest designs. Because sometimes the monster is not chasing you. Sometimes, you are born inside it. Two heads, one body. Two heads sounds like more life. It is not. It is one body being asked to answer two different versions of the same question. Where do we go now? Imagine being born and the first thing the world sees is not your legs, not your eyes, not your breathing. It sees the mistake. Two faces, two mouths, two sets of reactions. One fragile body underneath, trying to make all of it work. To people, it looks shocking. To the animal, it is not a shocking image. It is Tuesday. It has to stand like this, eat like this, sleep like this, survive like this. And that is where the cruelty begins. Because two heads do not always mean double control. Sometimes they mean confusion. One head may try to feed while the other turns away. One may react to sound. The other may not. One may want to move forward, while the shared body hesitates like it is receiving two bad instructions at the same time. The body becomes a negotiation. Every step needs agreement. Every meal needs coordination. Every threat becomes more complicated than it should be. In nature, hesitation is expensive. A predator does not care that the body is confused. Hunger does not wait while two mouths figure out how to drink. The herd does not stop because one animal was born with a harder version of life. That is the BioMisery part. The tragedy is not just that the animal looks different. The tragedy is that the simplest parts of living become harder before danger even begins. Walking is not just walking. Eating is not just eating. Turning is not just turning. Survival becomes a group project inside one body, and nobody asked for the assignment. This is not a monster. This is not a fantasy creature. This is biology failing cleanly, then forcing a living animal to carry the result. Two heads, one body, and one life that has to make both of them work. But nature does not only duplicate the head. Sometimes, it adds extra parts lower down, and somehow makes movement even worse. Extra parts that do not help. Extra legs sound like an upgrade. More legs should mean more speed, more balance, more chances to escape. That is what your brain wants to believe. But nature has a cruel sense of humor. Because an extra limb is only useful if the body knows what to do with it. If the leg is weak, twisted, misplaced, or not properly connected, it does not become a superpower. It becomes luggage. Now imagine being a newborn animal trying to stand for the first time. The world is already too big. The ground is already strange. Your legs are supposed to be the first tools that help you enter life. But one of them drags. One bends wrong. One does not listen. One exists where it should not. Suddenly, standing is not simple. Walking is not natural. Running is not guaranteed. The body has more parts, but less control. That is the ugly trick of extra limbs. They can make an animal look stronger from the outside, while making every movement harder from the inside. A predator does not see the struggle as a tragedy. It sees delay. It sees imbalance. It sees a body that may not turn fast enough, run straight enough, or keep up with the others. The herd keeps moving. The weaker body falls behind. And nature, as usual, does not offer a refund. To humans, extra legs become a headline, a strange photo, a look at this mutant moment. But for the animal, this is not a gimmick. It is weight. It is confusion. It is friction added to every step. And that is why being born wrong is so cruel. Sometimes the problem is not what is missing. Sometimes the problem is what should never have been added. A body can have more pieces and still be less complete. More limbs, less freedom, more structure, less control. Nature did not give this animal a bonus. It gave it extra instructions with no manual. And if extra parts can make survival harder, the next design is even colder. Because sometimes nature does not add the wrong thing. Sometimes it forgets something the animal needed from the start. When the body forgets something, sometimes nature does not add too much. Sometimes it leaves something out. And that can be even crueler. Because when an animal is born missing a part, the world does not become easier to match. The same rules still apply. Eat, stand, move, breathe, escape, follow the herd. Stay alive long enough to see another day. The animal has to do all of that with less than the body was supposed to give. Maybe the jaw does not close properly. Maybe the face is incomplete. Maybe the legs are too weak to carry weight. Maybe the body looks alive, but one important piece never arrived ready for work. And in nature, small missing pieces can become huge problems. A weak jaw is not just a weak jaw. It can mean feeding is harder. A missing or damaged eye is not just strange looking. It can mean danger arrives from the side the animal cannot read. A weak leg is not just awkward. It can mean falling behind when the herd moves. That is the BioMisery part. The animal is not choosing to struggle. It is not being dramatic. It is not failing because it is lazy or slow. It is trying to survive with a body that started incomplete. To humans, the body may look unusual for a second. A strange face, a sad eye, a twisted little leg. But to the animal, that one missing piece becomes part of every moment. Every meal, every step, every attempt to keep up. The world asks the same questions it asks every other animal. Can you stand? Can you eat? Can you move? Can you escape? But this body has fewer answers. And nature does not wait for unfinished bodies to catch up. It simply begins the test. And the animal has to take that test anyway. But the cruelest designs are not always obvious from the outside. Sometimes, the body looks almost normal, until life asks it to work. The body that barely works. Not every cruel body looks shocking. Some do not have two heads. Some do not have extra legs. Some do not look like a viral mutant animal at first glance. Some bodies look almost normal. Then the animal tries to live. That is when the problem shows itself. A leg bends the wrong way. A spine curves too much. A jaw makes feeding slow. The lungs do not keep up. The body is alive, but every basic action costs more energy than it should. This is one of nature's quietest punishments. A body that technically works, but badly. The animal may stand, but not steadily. It may walk, but not far. It may eat, but not easily. It may breathe, but with effort. It may survive, but only because every hour becomes a negotiation with its own body. And in the wild, barely working can be almost the same as not working at all. Because predators do not need you to be completely helpless. They only need you to be slower, Hunger does not need you to be unable to eat. It only needs eating to be difficult enough. The herd does not need to reject you. It only needs to keep moving faster than your body can follow. That is what makes this design so cold. The suffering is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is hidden inside normal actions. Standing becomes work. Walking becomes risk. Eating becomes a project. Running becomes a wish. And if humans step in, maybe the animal gets help. Maybe it gets food, shelter, care, and a chance that the wild would never give it. But without that help, nature has very little patience for bodies that barely function. A body does not have to look like a monster to feel like a prison. Sometimes the cruelest design is not the strangest one. It is the one that almost works. Almost enough to live. Almost enough to move. Almost enough to survive. But not enough to make life fair. And then humans see these animals. And too often, the suffering becomes a spectacle. When suffering becomes a spectacle, then humans see them. And suddenly, a life becomes a picture. A two-headed calf is no longer an animal trying to breathe, eat, and stand. It becomes a headline. A piglet with extra legs becomes a mutant. A goat with a strange face becomes something people share, laugh at, stare at, zoom in on, and forget about 10 seconds later. That is another cruel part of being born wrong. The body is already difficult. Then the world turns that difficulty into entertainment. To the internet, these animals are strange. To the camera, they are shocking. To science, they may be rare. But to the animal, none of that matters. It still has to live inside that body. It still has to find food. It still has to stand up. It still has to breathe through whatever body it was given. It still has to survive the same world that every other animal survives, except with a harder starting point. And that is where BioMisery changes the way we look at them. Because the point is not just, look how weird this animal is. The point is, what would life feel like if this was the only body you had? A photo cannot show the weight of an extra limb. A viral post cannot show the confusion of two heads sharing one body. A shocked comment cannot show how hard it is to eat with a malformed jaw or walk with legs that do not line up. The internet sees the outside. The animal lives the inside. And sometimes, humans do help. Some animals born with serious body problems are cared for, fed, protected, or kept alive longer than they ever would be in the wild. That matters. In those cases, human care becomes the one thing standing between a broken body and a short life. But even then, care does not erase the design. It only softens the punishment. Because the animal still wakes up in the same body, still carries the same problem, still lives with the same blueprint. And that is why suffering should not become only a spectacle. Because born wrong is not just something we look at. It is something the animal has to be. Why being born wrong is a life sentence. Being born wrong is different from being attacked. An attack happens after life begins. A predator appears. A parasite enters. A disease spreads. Danger arrives from outside. But this kind of misery starts earlier. It starts with the body itself. Before the animal learns where food is. Before it knows what danger means. Before it takes its first proper step. The disadvantage is already there. That is why being born wrong can feel like a life sentence. Two heads do not just look strange. They can make one body harder to control. Extra limbs do not just look shocking. They can turn movement into a problem. A body that barely works does not need to look terrifying. It only needs to fail at the wrong moment. And in nature, the wrong moment comes quickly. When the herd moves, the body has to follow. When hunger arrives, the mouth has to work. When danger comes, the legs have to answer. When the world tests survival, There is no extra time given to the animal that started behind. That is the cruel design. The body is supposed to be the tool. For these animals, the body becomes the first obstacle. A predator may chase you. A parasite may hijack you. But being born wrong means the fight begins before anything else happens. You are not running from the monster. You are trying to live inside the problem. That is why this is more than a strange animal video. It is a reminder that nature is not always clean, fair, or perfect. Biology does not always build comfort. Sometimes it builds a body that technically lives, but has to fight itself every day. And maybe that is the most painful part. These animals are not failing at life. Life was made harder before they got a chance. They did not choose the extra limb. They did not choose the missing part. They did not choose the second head, the weak legs, the twisted body, or the face that makes survival difficult. They simply arrived. And nature said, "Now survive." The body was the monster. So that is what it means to be born wrong. Not strange for one photo. Not weird for one viral moment. A whole life begins with the body already making things harder. Two heads trying to share one direction. Extra parts that do not help. Missing pieces that should have been there. Bodies that look alive, but struggle to do the simplest things. Standing, eating, walking, breathing, keeping up, running when danger comes. That is the part people forget. These animals are not just unusual designs. They are living inside those designs every second. To us, it may look shocking. To them, it is the only body they have. And nature does not pause for that. The herd still moves. Predators still hunt. Hunger still arrives. Survival still demands an answer. That is why this is BioMisery. Because sometimes the worst life does not begin with teeth, claws, parasites, or poison. Sometimes, the worst life begins at birth. With a body that technically lives, but makes living feel unfair. Nature does not always build monsters outside you. Sometimes, it builds the problem into you, and then tells you to survive anyway. So next time you see an animal born wrong, remember, the weird part is only what we see. The misery is what it has to live.